Hello, welcome to Re.Convos, your premier real estate podcast. Today we have an amazing guest, one of my very good friends, Paul Mensah. Paul is a co-founder for Hughes Africa, one of the biggest real estate brokerage and property management company in Ghana. Paul is here to delve into the conversations, and I'm excited to have him.
Thank you very much, Cosmos. I normally don't go in front of cameras, but I'll try my best.
But for me, you come from also I'll come to you.
No
All right.
worries.
Paul, I know you've been in the industry for a while, right? How has it been? Just walk us through a little of your journey. When did it start? How did it start? And how has it been so far?
Okay, so I think my journey started way back when I was in uni, I think third year, final year. My roommate at that time, Kwame Kwanzaa, his sister, AC Kwanzaa at that time, she's married now, but she had an architectural firm and we did interior decoration for a period. I did land economy, so I'm still in my field. So it's just that the interest for property management grew when I did my national service at TDC. I went through the ranks, worked as the personal assistant to the head of estate, moved there to service plots, did facilities management, did ERP, enterprise resource planning. I did operations I worked also in collaboration or secondment staff abroad. I mean, my journey has been interesting. And then at a point when I chatted to become a valuer, had a conversation with my friend Michael, who is my partner.
Right.
We felt that the space, in terms of our real estate space, is lacking should I say, qualitative data. So the whole premise or the idea for setting up Hughes Africa was, actually it's pronounced House Africa. It's Dutch it's house in Dutch or Africa.
Okay.
The idea is that we don't want to only work in Ghana to move outside. So
Interesting.
we wanted to create an industry where we could share proper real estate data. So that's how Hughes Africa was birthed. And then we've been doing this for the past 6 years.
Okay.
Over 250 properties under our portfolio.
Interesting.
Our flagships being Volta River Chalet, recently Villa Iman, and then soon, I think you all know Sunta Beach Box.
Yes.
We'll go under rebranding, but that's also going to be our next flagship.
Okay. So you do mostly management, you do brokerage as well, and I know you do other auxiliary professional services.
Yeah, so we are full hands-on real estate. We don't develop yet. We have not developed. We don't start with development yet.
Right.
So we do real estate advisory. We do valuation and data analysis. We do brokerage. That is the rent sale. We do Airbnb, and then now we are moving heavy into hospitality. Yeah.
Okay, that's big. Right. So let's go through your journey. Right. For most people we've spoken to on this platform, some didn't have any background in real estate at all. They just hit the street, like myself, and learned on the job, right? Influenced so much, and by God's grace, we did amazing as we can, right? Yeah. But I've also realized a few people who actually studied, land economy, real estate or something, right? Yeah. And they seem to have a little competitive edge, right? Can you speak to that? How essential it is to have an education in real estate, if it is, and if it's not, before you can venture into at least brokerage or something?
I believe it helps with your fundamentals.
Right.
So let's say if you see a tenancy agreement, you understand the reason why certain clauses are put in there. I mean, with a background of real estate or land economy, that is, the add-on. But I feel you build your career in this industry also based on experience. There are certain things that I believe that as real estate professional or practitioners,
right,
you can engage yourself, but just that it gives you an extra edge in terms of your understanding to the nitty-gritties of the things that we do. So let's say because I'm a valuer, right, and then at any point in time, I get information about rent, whatever, revisions, etc. Understand the technicalities that go into that.
Right.
But then again, if you don't have a background in that sense, if you are advising a client, the extra edge in terms of adding on to whatever it is helps. So I don't feel it's
a necessity.
It is a necessity because I believe that we should have more of
actually trained
people doing it.
Yes.
I think the industry is now being more,
and it's evolving.
Yeah. It's not more structured.
Yeah.
With the new bills, the new laws. Hopefully maybe we can enforce more of them. Yeah. I don't think we only need people that did land economy, because it's not all of us that want to enter into brokerage. Some would do facility management, some would do project management. There are a lot of, I think our real estate space is so broad.
Yep.
So we can't narrow it to just brokerage and just facility management.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into it. So I think with a background, it gives you an extra edge, but that shouldn't stop you if you don't have any background in land economy or real estate. I mean, lawyers are now taking over our job.
I know, right? Talk about lawyers. We come back to them later.
Yeah.
But Paul, so still on the journey, right?
Yeah.
Talk to us about your first major deal, whether it's sale or a big rental, right? And how's it feeling? How did you how did you go about it? If there's anything you could have changed about the process?
I don't know if Jerry sent Cosmos to come and ask me this question. Please, you didn't hear this here. I'm just for educational purposes only. I think my first sale was when I was in TDC. Way back, I think about roughly 8 or 9 years ago. It was an industrial plot. It came through a very close friend of mine, and they were able to, go through the process. Because we were doing it extensively, we were able to go through the process because we understood the systems and the processes in terms of transferring from party A to party B. So, the contracts that were involved, sale and purchase agreements, the terms and conditions, because the money involved was huge at that time, we had to go through some payment terms because there was a structured arrangement. And then I think both parties left happy. The seller got a good deal, the buyer too.
Just how many years ago?
I think this was way back, I think in 20, if my memory serves me right, 2014.
14, okay.
2014,
but at the time you were still with TDC?
Yeah, I was still with TDC.
Yeah. And I've seen quite a number of people doing that. They do a full-time job elsewhere, and then they try to start a brokerage on the side, sometimes just referrals, and eventually enter into full brokerage, right? That seems to be like your story.
Okay, so that is not necessarily my story.
Right.
Okay, so I think in the beginning I started running you through my journey. I think my journey has been very thorough. I've gone through the system. I'm like a system baby. I've worked in the secretariat before. I worked as a PA to the head of estates. I sat in meetings. I sat in board meetings, land acquisition meetings, etc. I did that extensively well. I got moved into another area, that's a service plot. So service plot, like when we have landed properties, things that you need to put in place, documentation, etc. I did surrender renewal valuations. I worked with the MIS department when we started enterprise resource planning. So enterprise resource planning incorporates various business models into one platform. So HR, legal, estate, whatever. I did that too as well. I came back, did facilities management. I also moved into shop and offices where we worked as secondment staff to Bro at TDC Towers. Site 3 infilling, that is in TDC, was my baby. The first 20 tenants were all...
But all this while you were staff of TDC?
All this while I was staff of TDC. So I was building my portfolio based on my experience.
Right.
Now, the lead for the acquisition didn't come through whilst I was in my capacity in the company.
Absolutely.
It came outside. But that wasn't really like my first love. My first love was incorporating data and technology. And I realized that this is a shortfall that we have in our industry. We don't have qualitative data. So let me state that, every single time where maybe, obviously, I'll say this to my colleague valuers, sometimes we need to rely on hearsay valuations or maybe a evaluation that a colleague did in a different place. But we don't have a database to pull these things. So if you go to US or you go to the UK, there's a database that licensed surveyors, valuers, or agents have access to. And these are paid on subscription basis. We don't have that. So it is through that we birth Hughes Africa. The idea is to create real estate data to help make informed decisions. For you, the investor, for you, the valuer, for you, the real estate broker, for you, the agents, for you, the facility manager. That is the idea. So if you go into our company database for the past 6 years since we've been operational, and based on the data that we've also had, myself, my partner Michael, and Rex, we've have over close to 15,000 data on transactions, valuations, rentals, etc. And our aim is to do that extensively where we could share that with our colleagues. That was when we as an industry would change. Without that, we'll still be going on with the nitty-gritties and then issues that we are having.
And the issues that we have that keep repeating
itself. Like, for instance, if somebody is putting up a property in, let's say, in Spintex, the people look at, they feel like people are building, but what data supports that people are actually buying? The fact that developments are ongoing doesn't mean that people are buying.
Speaking of data and technology, right? How do you think we can leverage on data, technology, and AI, all those modern trends, right? To promote our industry, like to do really well than what we are doing. And again, for all practitioners at every level, developers, investors, brokerage, how can we leverage on technology?
Okay, so I would run this to a very, very basic model. So anytime somebody wants to book any of our units, we go extensive into maybe the date, the start date, the end date, the budget, location. Then we ask you your place of work.
Right.
We ask you your emergency contact, all that. This information that you are building, at any point in time, you will see that there's a trend.
Right.
A trend stating that a category or group of people
want this
book.
kind of property.
So you can see that maybe in one particular, maybe a studio apartment, over a period of, let's say, 5 years, you notice that a lot of people are within the ages of 25 to 33. They are all into IT or they do entrepreneurship. They are all expatriates, or maybe 90% of that is expats. So then based on the information and data that you have, then you can leverage and see how you can push your product out. So the little areas that you are not doing well, then you try and perfect those areas. That is how you use data to build your business. You don't just jump and then you decide that, okay, because party A is doing it, that same model would work for you. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. So, and another context, you notice that over a period, we wanted to build real estate data. We wanted to do valuation and build data. How many valuations can we do in a year to get that data that we need?
Right.
That is where we started doing brokerage. That's when we started doing facilities management.
So they are hands-on.
So you have information everywhere. Then we realized that there's an industry where it's lacking. So we did Airbnb, and now we're heavy into hospitality. I think I could confidently say that VRC is one of the best run vacation homes in Ghana.
That's in
Akwese.
Yeah.
You should find time and then come there with.
You're shooting the next episode.
I'll charge you maybe half rate for that.
Right, but again, run us through maybe a little back to your journey, right? How you've managed growth and expansion. So most of us always start probably just alone, one car. Some people not using their car, and then you grow over time. I know you have staff strength of so much, right? Again, for general purposes, right? And so many facilities you manage, right?
Yeah.
Even though you may have started with co-founders, right? How have you managed your growth that comes with it and expansion?
Okay, I think we started Hughes Africa on sacrifice. I went almost a whole year without salary. The idea was that you need to have something that you need to fall back on. So you need some reserves. I knew that in the first 2 years, even if I don't get any work, I wouldn't need to depend on anybody for anything, because I had some reserves.
Right.
Fortunately, because I will say this on camera, in my first few years, I lived with my big brother.
Right.
Even though it was very difficult when I was moving out of his house. But that saved me an amount of rent.
Yep.
And that revenue was something that I saved for my business, for myself. I mean, so I wouldn't say that everybody has their own path, but we started it on sacrifice. I'll come to that point. So there were reserves.
Right.
In the first few years, we knew that we'd have additional team members. Every person that works with my company or works with Hughes Africa, we're handpicked. We see potential and then we pick you and then we place you in various areas and then we make you make that section or schedule yours. So from as far back to our artisans, our caretakers, my operations manager, Bismarck, office manager, Elikem, Kevin, our facility manager, they've all gone through the process.
Right.
And they've learnt on the job. Because I believe in any business, you have to bid your time. So setting up the whole system was to make sure that our foundation is strong. I didn't want to start with doing everything, so we started gradually. So at a point in time, you can tell any shortlets, you people run it by us, but we do more than just that.
Yep.
But the reason why I wanted to do more shortlets was to build the expertise, the experience for our staff, for them to know how to communicate with clients properly, to get diverse issues, how to resolve problems, the timelines. And over the period, you try to change things, modify things. I will say this here, that I tell my staff that every Airbnb guest that books our unit, you treat them like babies, like they don't know anything, because you don't know when an issue will come, you don't know where a problem would need to be resolved. So there are systems and there are processes in place to resolve all these things. And that is what I mean by bidding your time. You have to go through the process. The money will come if the foundation is strong. But if you follow the money and then you forget about the system and the foundation, then you realize that over a period, your business would fall. Everybody that works in my company loves to be there. My staff been with me since Adam. I'm very difficult to work with.
I can see that. But back to the staff thing and back to working with people and going through the mill, right? Especially with brokerage, right? Every now and then you see another agent in town. So many people come in the industry, which is okay. There's room for everybody. For me personally, I'm never not insecure about that, right? The more we all do it, the better. Knowing very well that some will also fall out, right? Now, there's a school of thought that thinks that a lot of people should come together and form maybe one company, or people should be working under others. In fact, that's what the new Real Estate Act seeks to do. So there's a brokerage and there are agents under, head of brokerage and agents under. What do you want to speak to that? Because research has shown that the averagely most real estate agents fall out in their first 2 years, right?
You see, this is where my problem with data comes in. Where is this data that is informing or giving us that, or telling us that everevery 2 years?
But these are global statistics.
Global statistics. Okay, not in Ghana.
Right.
Okay, thank you. I mean, we have it on record that you said it, because I'm very particular about data.
Yes. I mean, because you see, we do have professional bodies in Ghana. There are professional bodies outside. I'm a member of the Realtor International, right? And so this data is there, right? You see people who enter the industry, start their own companies and fall out. And you see so many also in this industry, right? Now, I'm trying to find out what, if you were to speak to a young agent, broker, the practitioner, you want to start off, right, immediately and alone, would you advise they collaborate and work together, or just hit the street and it will be good?
Let me pick it in three folds or three parts. One, you need to find what you are good at. So, and which area you fit in. So you could be a broker, but your selling point or your stronghold will be sales. You could be a broker and your stronghold would be probably rental. So you could determine which one works for you.
Or commercial.
Or you could be a broker that would even help. Another area that people don't really pay particular attention to is joint ventures. So there are various areas or sections that you could fit in.
Right.
So you have to identify what your stronghold is and then move into that. That's one. So you have to identify what you are good at. So you do your SWOT analysis. What are you good at? What's your weakness? Then it comes back to the collaboration. So the areas that you feel that you are not good at, then you collaborate with others. So let's say for me and my partner, they say I'm hot, my partner is cold. So there's a balance. Sometimes at any point in time, that balance helps move the ship forward. You need to collaborate with people. I collaborate with you, Eddie. Collaborate with COD, Sophia, all the people within the industry, Aretha, just to build the portfolio. And then collaboration is what helps with the sales, or what helps with sales. Imagine if I have the product, I'm the plug, and then I don't get people to come to me with how would I end up?
Exactly.
So I will probably be chasing the landlord, getting the property owners, getting the product out there. The other partner or the other colleague would also be chasing the tenants, and bringing me the deals or bringing the buyers.
So you don't necessarily need to form business partnerships with others. I mean, as one company,
but you can collaborate.
I can also collaborate
Exactly.
as individuals, or you could set up a company and say, okay, we are a one-stop shop real estate company, but within the company, there's somebody in charge of commercials, there's somebody in charge of land, there's somebody in charge of rentals, there's somebody in charge of actual sales, right? Again, speaking of collaboration and partnerships, agents are some of the most funny people to work with, right? You and I know, right? Tell me this.
So when you put a blanket statement like that, you are distracting or messing up So put type of agents.
Okay, so you will speak to the type of agents,
Okay.
right? So agents generally are some of the most interesting people to work with,
Okay.
right? I want you to speak to an experience you've had, like maybe the worst or the best of it, right? That you work with an agent and it almost really messed you up, right? For learning purposes, what do you think agents need to know what to do before you collaborate?
Document everything. I don't do or we don't deal in word of mouth.
Right.
Any contracts, agreement, tenancy, whatever goes to an email thread. So if you're an agent or you're an agency, you don't do with emails, I can't work with you. There are times where you send contracts to agents and they don't understand why you put these things in there. These clauses are not only to protect the landlord but also the tenant.
Yep.
And sometimes it's all about closing the sale and then making their money out of it.
Right.
But then again, imagine you make money and then you can't spend the money because you can't sleep. Imagine you rent a unit and then in 3 days there are issues with the unit and then the tenant is chasing you for the refund of his commission. Maybe you've already invested into maybe some bond somewhere and they are telling you that you can get it back 3 months after or 6 months. Now I think it's even a year. You don't want these things to happen, so you have to go through the process. Then outline your terms and conditions with the clients. So on every single phase, when you are engaging with the client, email correspondence. When you are engaging with the landlord, email correspondence. If you are engaging with your colleague agents too, or email correspondence. And trust me, we've been saved by a lot of issues because it was an email thread, because it was stated.
Give me a scenario. Give me like an experience you can never forget.
Okay. So I think barely a year ago, we had a tenant that wanted one of our units that we manage exclusively. Right. So they viewed the property. She says she likes it. I think 3 months, no, she had to travel, come back again. And then she said, oh, I don't like the tiles. After she signed the tenancy agreement, chased, paid everything. Said,
paid?
Yes, I don't like the tiles. And this property...
And this is a long let?
This is a long, like a 1 year tenancy. Now, 2 months, remember, maybe, I think she came she wanted the unit somewhere in August. The tenancy started maybe in October or November. And the property we left the property there because 3 months, we signed a contract, paid in advance. Your tenancy starts exercise dates. Has been, then a few months into it, I said, oh, you don't like the tiles. And you know that the tenancy agreement, once you put the property there for a period, there are clauses that says that maybe 3 months in lieu, etc. So there are two things. Either the property owner you get a replacement, like replace the tenant, or your 1 month's rent goes. Yeah. And initially it was 3 months, but we were able to fight for her to get 1 month. So because the property was sitting idle.
Because you're waiting for you.
Exactly.
For a period of 3 months.
Now you decide that you want to pull out.
She didn't see the tiles when she came in.
So because the contract was signed, she lost 1 month's rent. Because she didn't see the essence of reading the contract before she signed. So these are some of the things or experiences that this is on a tenant point.
Right.
Now, I would also put it in a management perspective, right, where you take over possession of a property, you do all you have to do, spend etc., and then the property owner says that, okay, let me give you a typical example. You give me your property, I pre-finance all expenses with marketing, videos. You know how high resolution our videos, our images are. We do all this and then maybe a month or two into it, say, oh, because they feel that the thing is picking up, they can do it themselves. No, you pay for all the things that we did, which is in the contract. Right. If there are any tenants that we started that came through whatever, you pay us our commission. Even if it's word of mouth referral and it came to us, even if it wasn't concluded before and then it was concluded after, you still pay us our commission because it's in the contract. So these are some of the experiences that I can bring on board, or the documentation. So that's why I said document everything. Yeah.
It always comes back to save you. Document
everything. See, when you have a phone conversation, just go back, following up our phone conversation, XYZ, every single time. Every single time. See, no matter what, even if your mother, your friend, you go through the process. When I have friends, oh, please, when you realize that you want to skip process, That's my red flag. I don't even want you as a tenant. I always tell my staff and my colleague, once a tenant or an agency or an agent starts with, oh, send me what's... No.
If you could have one advice for the various level of practitioners, right? So for brokers, for developers, for investors, right? What would the advice be for anybody who wants to enter this industry?
How many minutes we have?
1 minute for each.
Can you give me 4 minutes for developers? Okay, I'll wrap this up quickly. One problem I notice in Ghana is we don't involve professionals in anything we do. We do, but very minimal. Now, developers don't involve facility managers when they're in the design stage. At the end of the day, facility managers are the ones that focuses on the end user. So even if you put up a property, we need to critique and see even the arrangement. Sometimes you go to certain units and then they are just using certain sockets. You need to change. Now you have to use universal sockets because you have different types of appliances and gadgets. I mean, the arrangement, the layout, where bathroom should supposed to be, the position, like every little detail. And you know the funny thing, cheap is expensive. When I say cheap is expensive, it's not about, let's say, the product. You can get something that is affordable,
right,
but it might not be cheap.
Yeah.
But then it's supposed to be good. That is something that we don't have now. And that's why I want us to involve us in every single form of the way.
From the onset.
From the onset, yes.
So developers should involve
facility managers,
professionals,
and all
brokers.
So it starts with facility managers. So there's a process, right from inception, when the design is made. Then secondly, when the design is made, the facility manager will come and point out. The architect will come. The landscape architect. You know, even in architecture, right? They have people that are architects for tiles.
Right.
I know that's based on funds. You might probably not have that, but at least if it's not for your personal use and it's for professional or commercial purposes, engage professionals and practitioners.
Do some basic research, run it by somebody who is a professional.
It would cut down costs.
And let's stop this idea of my friend has done it this way or somebody told you I can do it this way and that kind of.
And we should stop copying. Oh, I've seen this development. I want to do the same thing. Maybe your area or land will not support that. Maybe the direction of the wind is not. I think that's another problem. We like to copy too much. We should try to be unique.
So that's the advice for developers. Right?
Developers.
For brokers.
Brokers, I said we should document everything.
Okay. And then for investors, those who are seeking to invest in the property, they're new to the Ghana market. Everybody tells them real estate selling in Ghana. They want to come to the Ghana market. Where do they start from? What advice will you give to them?
So seek the help of professionals. Do your due diligence, do proper background, and then engage people that have good track record. And then ask questions, probe. And I think the last thing would be, if you're an investor, you should probably have a very solid feasibility study in any venture that you want to enter into. So these are just my advice, or this would just be my advice for the various shadows, or should I say the various individuals.
Yeah. Okay. What will be one of the sweetest spots you've discovered in Ghana for investments?
Hospitality. You've noticed for the past 2 years, we're moving in heavy in hospitality. Yeah.
So if somebody wants to invest in Ghana real estate, you go straight to hospitality.
Not necessarily hospitality, but I think there's a very good area for affordable rental. For areas, should I say, like from the working class, and they should try and build a model where rents will probably be deducted directly as source from your salaries. So if, let's say, so let me run you through this model. There's a big area or big avenue that we've not explored with monthly payment of rentals. The reason why it's very difficult for us to do that is the rate at which the dollar is pegged with importation, etc.
And then also,
and then the fact that landlords don't like to chase for rent. But I think with that flexibility, you would get some discerning tenants, and that's why I'm saying that if you have a thorough system in place, and that's an area that I think you could invest in. Personally.
Okay. Let's talk about trends, right? What's some of the most interesting trends you've seen in our market lately?
When you say trends, can you be specific?
Past 6 years. So trends in terms of development, trends in terms of what tenants prefer or buyers prefer? What kind of trends? I mean, I had somebody speak about apartment living. So in the past, everybody will probably want to own their own house with a big compound, and now people don't mind living in terrace houses, semi-detached houses, even apartments. They buy and no more just not just for investment, but people actually live in it, right? So that's one trend that we are realizing, right? But from where you sit, what are some of the most interesting trends you've observed lately?
I think one trend I would like to highlight is based on maybe one area or one niche is on the rental market. I noticed that first we used to have a long-term tenancies, but after post-COVID and after COVID, you notice that now people come in for shorter periods, so we don't have that lengthy tenants to like one.
Advance,
It comes maybe from the embassies, but like I said, it's moving away, and the time would come, the units or the areas where we see as prime areas would have low rent, because if people are not renting it, would you let your investment sit there idle? You pay service charges. So that is an interesting trend that I've seen lately.
Okay.
That as much as there are people coming in, going out, over the period, we are not seeing long-term tenancies like they used to.
It used to be.
And I could see if I go to cantonments, even this quarter, we have about 5 or 6 developments coming up. So we should move away from the expectancy with the long tenants and then try and do the short-let rentals, because one is better than zero.
There is a perception, right, that we have so much properties sitting on the market and empty.
There's not a perception, it's a fact.
It's a fact. You have figures to read. What's the unoccupied
I can't make mention of some developments because it's not ideal for marketing purposes.
Fine,
but I know in
somewhere
in cantonments, some units have 30% occupancy rate
throughout the year.
Throughout the year. Some have even had that for about 4 years.
Is there something you could do about that as a property manager? What would you do?
To reduce the rent.
Absolutely.
That is one. Try diverse areas.
But the apartment very expensive.
Well, the apartment is sitting down. Would you prefer the apartment to run down without making any revenue at all? You pay service charges.
Right.
Without the service charge, the building cannot be maintained properly. So why would you let the property sit idle?
So one, reduce rent.
Reduce rent. Try open up to short-let rental, but just get a very thorough structure system.
Right. So
I know some developers don't like that because it would bring in...
It messes up the...
Yes, I know some areas they don't prefer multiple tenants in and out. But you need money to maintain any development, any investment. Cash flow is king. If you don't have money coming in, that becomes an issue.
If you comment on your younger self, Paul, somebody who just started out in this industry, what do you tell him?
I'm not somebody you have to follow. I think we all have our own path.
If you comment on your own self, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, when you set out to do East Africa to enter this industry, what would you have told yourself?
I won't change anything.
You won't change anything?
Because
what have you found the learning curves?
Always listen to your instincts.
Instincts?
Yes. God gave it to us for a reason. You'd always have to listen to your instincts, no matter what's the circumstance. Whether be in any field, listen to your instincts.
Give me a case in point where your instincts told you and did otherwise. And you could
there was a tenant I said, no, this tenant, I don't want this tenant.
You're in trouble.
True to the tenant.
He says this. That was trouble. How's trouble's always here?
Sometimes maybe I was like, no, this property one, I don't think I would want to manage there. So I'll just drag my feet. I'll say that I can't do this. That's it.
People see the glamour of our job. Say we do a lot of settings and packaging. It's beautiful, right? So they see the most glamorous part of it. But tell me about the parts we don't show people. The part that's so hard and we can hardly communicate it, but it's part of our living.
Sleepless nights. The long phone call conversations. And in our part of the world, I think we have a problem with the human institution. I think in Ghana, we need to move away from that. We need to love what we do. It's like I understand. I think recently I saw a tweet from the commissioner for Italy or something, talking about how we've swayed away from the things that the outside world see. I think we need to change that. I'm trying to find the right word for it. So you see, when it comes to artistry, when it comes to craftsmanship, we are very lazy about things. So I think we need to change that attitude. We need to go back and reposition ourselves and learn our trade, learn our craft, perfect it. You know, there's a training in Togo that you work with your boss till he says that you are ready to leave. You can't leave. There's a reason why. I mean, we need to learn our craft. It's like we all like shortcuts. It's a lot.
So that's a part of the job you don't like?
Yes, the shortcuts. I don't like that.
I'm a bit confused. So there's a beautiful side about real estate, right? And there's a part we don't tell people often.
Yeah.
For you, is a part that people leave very often. Is that it?
No, so I think the shortcut is one that is very stressful.
Yeah.
And the sleepless nights, especially, and I don't believe everybody was built to be an entrepreneur. Some people are team players. That is your job in this world. Some people enter through that process, gather the needed experience, and move on to other things.
Right.
I have friends that do land economy, that's modeling, and he's been to acting. Ian Odi. Black Rasta did land economy. It will shock you. He's on radio.
Right.
So people follow.
So real estate is not for everybody.
It's not for everybody.
But if you're in it, then you should be ready for sleepless nights.
Not sleepless nights per se, but I think once we change, we should all in our individual way try to change things. I don't want to be very philosophical about it, but it's very draining. That part of the business is what I don't like.
What's your philosophy about real estate?
I don't think I'm a philosopher.
What's your philosophy about business in general?
Bid your time, learn, go through the process. I mean, find your way and then work towards it. I think it works for me.
It works for you.
And then when you build your team, carry them along. Don't try to keep your knowledge to yourself. Share.
Reward loyalty.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I think everybody that works for me, in the 6 years of running my business, I've never delayed salary payments before. Not even once.
That's interesting.
Yes. Every vendor, 31st latest, unless you don't submit your invoices on time. But nobody. I think my operations manager, Bismarck, is here. He can tell you.
What's the most, for want of a better, creative or the most, ridiculous request you've received before?
I think because of our approach, we hardly have that. Or maybe it doesn't come to me.
Those kind of requests don't come to you.
But I think one time we had a request during 1 December, because of the shortlets.
Right.
I think somebody wanted us to house about 120 people.
120 people?
Yeah, it was very tough, but I was able to do 45.
In one unit?
No, in different units. We were able to do 45.
So you put them across?
So when they brought, we don't have some of these products. Unless you have a hotel, but you can get that with their budget. So you have to then educate them, move to these areas. We have 5 units here. So what I normally do is that I'll let them send us the groupings. So maybe husband and wife, kids, 5 here. Then based on that, then we just put them around. Maybe 15 of them in East Legon, 20 in airport, 20 in the cantonment, maybe 10 in Spintex, based on the budget constraints. So yeah, I think that maybe they would be ridiculous.
We'll probably be wrapping.
It's not ridiculous, but I think that was
but very interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
We'll probably be wrapping up with these ones, right? But our industry also has its own rhythm, right? Very interesting rhythm. Sometimes it's fast paced. Sometimes it's so laid back and nothing is happening. There are seasons that happen, and sometimes it's literally crazy, right? I want you to use your own words. If there's a phrase you can use to describe our industry, what would it be?
My geography teacher, undulating.
Undulating.
So the ups and downs. So for us that also have, diverse ways. You have to diversify. You can't sustain.
What's the most surprising thing you've seen in the industry?
Surprising thing?
The thing that surprised you most. Ooh, I didn't see this coming.
Hey, Cosmos, you're asking me some questions. Surprising thing? I can't really think of one now.
Nothing surprising in this industry.
I think it's the fact that I see new developments every day. It surprises me.
They are selling.
Yeah, people are like, I think that's surprising because
surprises
I don't think, as much as people buy, I don't think it's all that.
Really?
No.
Because Charlie, there are some properties that are sold off plan. They haven't even hit ground. I've seen it.
Kudos to all those that are closing sales off plan.
Let me ask you this once. You are heavy on this out of town places people lodge, out of town hospitality places. Yeah, I know you have facility all over Kosumadan. So let me do this. If you had all the money, right, and you can afford any properties within these two places, Ibri and Ada.
Ada is turning into.
Choose between Ibri and Ada. Simple answer.
Ibri. Yeah.
Okay.
Because of proximity. And it's on a hill, it's cold. I don't like heat. Ada is warm.
Kokrobite pram.
In Kokrobite. I have an issue with pram.
Okay.
There's one even in court.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Akuse Sukagope.
Akuse. Any day. My grandfather was the first postman in Akuse. I have history with Akuse. Akuse used to be a port. Akuse any day.
Akosumbo Kokrobite.
Oh, I have a development in Kokrobite coming up.
So I saw personal reasons.
So personal reason Kokrobite.
If you were to speak as an investor.
I love Akosumbo. Akosumbo is very calm. If we have a very good network like transportation network like train, I'll probably live in Akosumbo and work in Accra.
So Akosumbo any day.
That's nice.
You do that.
Yes.
So we invest in.
Yes. It's not too busy. I don't like busy. Very quiet person.
Shortlet. Investor. Shortlet. Cantonment Airport.
Cantonment
Laboni.
Cantonment
Airport Hills.
Cantonment. Airport Hills, no. Who would let you rent in Airport Hills? They will even allow you.
Or maybe not.
No, like you can't do short letting. No, maybe it's peripherals, but you can't.
This be the most controversial one. Chado, East Legon.
East Legon is turned into a commercial area. Chado, tenancy reasons, because of the grant. I think I'll go for East Legon. Commercial viability.
Chado Adjogano.
Oh, Chado Central. Adjogano good because of after the rail and the interchange, there'll be a good shift next year. People start investing in Adjogano. Yes, if you have money, you can go into Adjogano.
If you have money now,
go start buying units in Adjogano. Adjogano is going to change like drastically.
But Adjogano is already prime Accra.
It's prime, but it's not the
prime.
The shift will come.
Okay, last two. Botema and East Legon Hills.
Oh, Botema.
Really? You
have access to the motorway faster.
Botema or Oyarifa?
Oyarifa, my people are there. I'll plead the fifth.
Botema or Oyarifa?
I'll plead the fifth.
Really? It can't just be T2.
No. They all have their unique selling points. I think that area is fast developing.
Which one?
Oyarifa, fast developing. The speed at which development is going on Oyarifa has shocked me. But Boteman, another area, I didn't see it coming. I lost. I know.
So that's one of the surprising things.
Yeah, because personally, I think some time back, 4 or 5 years ago, my partner had somebody that was selling his units for I think about 10,000 USD at that time. Now the price there is almost $40,000.
So Boteman over East Legon Hills?
Not necessarily because of land tenure system.
Your land tenure system. East Legon Hills used to be $80,000 5 years ago. It was about $10,000. Now it's $65,000.
Yeah.
Right. East Legon Hills or Oyarifa?
I'll go for Oyarifa because it's easy to get to Accra. East Legon Hills too because now the road network.
Choose one.
That's very difficult. I think I would do East Legon Hills.
Thank you very much.
If you have your land tenure system.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
For this one.